Welcome back to From the Bench, everybody. As always, I'm Eric, and your co-host is right here is Mr. Trevor Ward.
What's going on, y'all?
There we go. We've been gone for a while. Not gonna lie to you guys. I know we say this, every time we come on here. Was not meant to be this long of a drought for us. It's been. Well, we had the NFL draft, and then I think it was like 2 months ago, before the NHL playoffs, everything else, we recapped the draft, so that would have been like end of April, and then life just got in the way. Essentially, that's the only way to look at it. It's Trevor's busy with work, and then I was busy with work, and then
busy with life too.
Trevor
was
a little cranky with the Leafs, so for the first couple weeks he didn't want to
cranky.
He didn't want to do any of that, but I'll just throw it over to Trevor, though. So what have you been up to in the past a little bit there, Trevor?
Work's been bananas, but going really well with construction. I don't know, kind of just busy with life things. Starting to live again here, getting used to the Maritimes, loving the weather here.
Went four-wheeling last week?
Some four-wheeling, doing some four-wheeling more consistently, so I'm pretty pumped about that. Just living again, you know what I mean? And getting out there and enjoying activities.
Hey, that's all that matters.
Eric had a get together a week ago, which was pretty epic. So
yep, for a
they normally
party.
are now, actually.
Yeah, for a good old diaper party. That was good.
How about yourself? What have you been up to?
Just work, and then the girlfriend and I started to foster cats. Trevor almost became a cat owner. Everybody, last week. So we essentially about a month and a half ago. She put the application in, so we fostered 2 cats. Last Sunday they took off. They went to like a pet store essentially, so they could get like more exposure and hopefully get adopted there, which is fine. So we did that, and then from there, we got in this week. We got 4 little kittens who are in the room next to me. They're in the bathroom. They got to hang out there kind of by themselves for the next week or so, to try to get like adjusted to everything, and then we're gonna see how that goes. We already have 2 cats of our own, so we're just adding 4 little kittens, and they just don't stop ever. They're just going 1,000 miles an hour. They're funny though, but it's good. And other than that, I just work. Just doesn't stop. Houses sell every day, so I gotta do that every day, which is good. And then obviously lots and everything else. So it's exciting.
It's good to be busy, man. It's good to be busy.
Well, yeah, and we also ran into issues with mine and Trevor's schedule because I'm wearing it. But if you are not watching this on YouTube, you didn't see that. I coached lacrosse. First time ever coaching lacrosse. I played it back when I was in high school, which was many years ago, ladies and gentlemen. That's like 15 years ago. But I decided to, I wanted to help with them. I kind of went for a meeting like almost a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. And they kind of said this year, they said, well, we need a coach for under 10. And I said, know what? I can probably try to figure this out as long as I have a little bit of help. And I did. So anyways, it was fun. Good to coach a bunch of 8 and 9-year-olds and try to make them listen, which is always interesting. But that also, it was supposed to be 2 nights a week, ended up being 3 nights a week. So essentially
Sweet.
Sunday nights at 7, Tuesday nights at 7, and then Thursday nights at 6, which obviously those are times that me and Trevor would record a lot of times, during the week, after work, everything else. And then, obviously I just have work. So if I'm taking essentially 6 hours out of my work week for evenings away, I got to replace that my work other ways. So
at some point,
it was an interesting thing. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I love the game of lacrosse. If you guys don't know, if you listen to the podcast, I talk about it all the time. Behind me right here is actually like a field lacrosse jersey. I coached box lacrosse, but that's a field lacrosse jersey that's signed behind me by the all-time leading field lacrosse points for major professional lacrosse is Paul Rabel. He just got that record on the weekend. And yeah, so like I said, that was like the other big thing I did, which was a blast. I'd really enjoy like coaching. So Hopefully
giving back to the community, Coach Murray. I like
awesome.
it.
I'm all for it.
I'd also coach if I didn't work such long hours.
Yeah, literally,
I was trying to get coach football.
I was trying to get Trevor.
I'd love to get into it.
I was trying to get Trevor over with me.
I couldn't commit.
No, that was the only issue. Was Trevor was like, look, I'm working. Trevor's schedule at the time was all over the place, and the games are at 7. Trevor's like, I only get done at 6:30. It is what it is, right? So I said, no, that's fine. I understand. Maybe in another year if the schedule gets a little different for work for him. But today, getting back into it, what we're going to talk about, we are talking about the NHL playoffs and the heartbreak that Trevor and I both went through. It was not good. We're going to talk about the NFL offseason a little bit. So OTAs, mini camps, who we're excited to see come play. And then we're also going to talk about a little bit of week 1, just a couple of games that are I wanted to highlight. Obviously, we'll dive into this more closely when we get actually to there. That is in September 9th. So we are 2 months away from that. So we got a long, that's when the preseason starts. That's when the season starts.
And let's not wish our summer away here, people.
Yeah, no, exactly. We got 2 months left before that, so we'll enjoy that. And then we'll finish off with a little bit of NBA talk. We don't do a whole lot of NBA talk on here, but I decided, you know what? For me and Trevor, this is going to be pretty cool.
How about those Raptors?
How about those
Jump
Raptors?
Up to number 4. How do you like me now?
There we go. But we'll talk more about the playoffs and the weird playoffs that it's been. But anyways, first off, we got to get to it, Trevor. I'm sorry. I don't mean to lead off the show with this, but
yes, you do.
Maybe a little bit. Toronto Maple Leafs went down in 7 games after blowing a 3-1 lead. 3-1 lead against the Montreal Canadiens.
Got chirped by my mother. She's like, they won the game. What do you think that Montreal's chances that they'll come back and win the series? And it's like, to my mother, honestly, Mom, I was like, Toronto needs to win 1 game out of like a possible 3 to Montreal. I said, there's no way in hell they win 3 games against Toronto. And what did they do? They won 3 games in a row against Toronto. So, that's awesome. People want to shout out the blame, like Galchenyuk and other people, but people need to realize when Galchenyuk was inserted into Toronto's lineup, he also helped them win 2 games without JT. So, you know what I mean? So yeah. I think he's played really good for us. I hope the hell he's back with us. I kind of like to see him, you know what I mean?
Yep.
In a top 6 role for us again. But I just found JT, he worked well with JT and Willie.
Yep.
But I will give a shout out to Willie, who had just incredible 7 games.
Was probably Montreal. Your best player.
To be honest. Hands down, I think. And Jack Campbell was good.
Yeah.
Not great, but good. Steady back there. But and Matthews was good. I was a little disappointed in Marner, but hey, you can't just blame shit on one person or on this guy or this guy. You go down, you win as a team, and you lose as a team, and it was just not meant to be, I guess. So
the only thing I'll say about the Marner thing,
I wasn't happy though,
and I've said it to many people, is I understand he's a playmaker, and I understand some days you're going to have a game off, and you're not going to be playing right and everything else, and sometimes it's just not your night. But to have 0 goals, 0 in 18 career playoff games, as a top 6 guy, as a guy that's playing on, I know, but it's just like and like obviously he got robbed a couple of times and he's had some bad luck and everything else, but it's like, man, it's just you can't go 18 games when you're making that much money.
I find he just gets away from his game, man. He gets away from his game in the playoffs. It's just, I think it just gets to him mentally. It's just ridiculous. Just do what you do.
Do you think it's like just like the pressure of like Toronto as a whole?
No, I just think that they get running around and you're going to get hit after everybody's going to finish a check. And I think he just gets thinking on it too much after a game or 2 of not getting a point or an assist or anything. I just think he thinks he gets his own head.
Yeah.
Like game 7, they weren't even 5 minutes in, and I was looking at what the Leafs were, just the Leafs in general, how they were playing. And I'm like, we are playing not to lose. This is not how we play. Dump and chase and all of a sudden and all this.
Yeah.
And I just had a feeling. I said, we're done before it even started, really. So it is what it is, man. Hopefully they can actually figure it out. It's their own demons here. Like, it was the best team we've had in a long time. I liked it, but it is what it is.
So you guys have already brought
She's
back.
Over, boy.
Yeah, you've already brought back Spezza on like a veteran minimum for, was it 1 or 2 years?
Just 1.
1 year. And
Simmons got 2 years.
Simmons got 2 years. That's what it was. So you brought back him. You brought back Simmons. Do you think Jumbo comes back?
I'm not quite sure, but I wouldn't be opposed. And the reason I say that is just his character and shit. And I'd like, even if he chipped in a couple games, like, I don't know how, like, realistically how many games he could play or whatever, or how healthy he can play. But I just love to have him in the organization. I just think he's an outstanding person. Just somewhere, like, there should be a job for him there somewhere. You know, I still think he can help guys on the ice and stuff. But, you know, I kind of wish he would have took a couple games off here and there. But I understand when you're an athlete, you want to compete. You don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're prideful, right? Like, everybody's got pride. And so I just found like he played good in the playoffs for us, but I just leading up to the playoffs, I found he kind of lost his legs a little bit, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's a hard season when you're 40-something years old, right? To keep that going. I am
relieved we brought Simmons back because I like that. I know he broke his wrist and never really scored that. Like, I think he scored like maybe one goal afterwards, but I find, like, you know how that goes, Eric. They're going in the playoffs. It's so hard for a player to get back to where he was. You know what I mean? Because it's just like when a player gets hurt, those other players continue on. So they're building on where they were, right?
Yeah.
And that guy comes back and it takes him forever to get adjusted and back going. So anyways, I like bringing Simmons back, especially because I think we're not going to be able to bring Hyman back, which is fine. Which is disappointing, but it's life, man.
Well, the crazy thing for you guys is Hyman's like the lifeblood. Like, that's the kind of player.
His own line.
That's the kind of guy you need. Like, when you have so much money into all these playoffs, so. Yeah, when you have all this money into those big guys like Matthews, like a Marner, like a Nylander, like, you need those like lower end guys, those rookies, those guys that are on small contracts, right? That weird like they sign like
shout outs Spats.
Yeah, they sign like a 3-year $2 million a year deal, but they're 26 years old, but they're pretty, they're not gonna be on the first line, but they do that nice like forechecking role for you. And always get into the dirty areas, all that, typical stuff we always want to talk about. But like, that's kind of guys you need. So like, what would you? I know you're not the biggest Campbell fan. I know for you like Freddie more.
He's unproven.
Yeah,
that's why I say that.
Yeah. So, and I don't know what it seems like. Freddie's out of there. It's because you're not going to keep.
I don't know. I read something different every day. Like, he's opposed to coming back, wants to come back.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would work. That'd have to be like a 1-year deal, right? Because like Freddie, he deserves a raise. I know he had a bad year this year, but you know what I mean? He's still a good goalie.
Yeah. But like, what do you think the Leafs need to like get to that next level? Like, I know you're not a couple
things, man.
I know you don't want to trade Marner. I know that's not the case. I know you don't think
I'll trade Marner if they give me back Eichel. Boy, I'd do a 1-for-1. I wouldn't even fucking joke around with that. But, no, I love Marner. I think Marner had a great year this year, his best year as a Leaf. I think there's just a lot of blame to go around. Like, Toronto had a lot of hard luck. You lose JT right off the hop. I'm not making excuses. And then, but I'm just going to state facts. You lose JT like 5 minutes into game one. Okay, they overcome that. Nick Foligno, they acquired for a first-round pick. And unfortunately, what happens to Foligno? He gets hurt 2 weeks before the playoffs, or maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah,
and
never.
Like, he's on in game 7 and he's your fourth line center, he's hurt. You know what I mean? And you could just tell. So there was no impact there. We didn't have Muzz for game 7, and he's like the heart and soul back there, or a big piece. And that's just how it goes, man. It just seems like we've had bad luck with injuries and stuff at the wrong time, just like you guys last year or the year before.
Yeah.
Like, it just happens, right? And it is what it is. And good on Montreal. They for a fact, they just outplayed us for 3 games, won 3 games, and we only needed 1. And congrats to them. But this is the thing about Montreal getting to the finals. You have that feeling like they're just outclassed.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's just, I don't know what you guys do either. Like, I don't know. I know everyone's like, well, you got to get a big defenseman. It's like, how do you? It blows my mind. Montreal stepped through Winnipeg as easy as they did too. Yeah, well,
that was pathetic.
When you look at it, it's like, what do you guys do? Like, do you get a big defenseman? Well, you guys can't afford a big defenseman. Like, you're gonna have Riley. Like, you can't when you're paying 3 guys over $30 million.
We don't need a big defenseman, man. Like, I've never been so excited. I think I already told you this, or I don't know if I told our fans, but TJ Brody was so good for us this year. It was the best $5 million we spent in a long time.
Yeah.
And Bogosian, Bogosian probably had his best year in the NHL, like, just solid season.
Yeah.
With the Leafs. And man, I'd love to have him back. He definitely deserves a raise, but I don't think we can give it to him. So, if we want to win, we can't really.
No.
So
and that's what
I'm hoping, Eric. I hope Freddie comes back. Maybe, like, I don't know what you do there. It'd have to be, I don't know. So it won't be $5 million like he was just making. I think it was 5 he was making. So I don't know if they bring him back on a 1 year, 4 year, or 1 year, $4 million, or what they do, or if they decide to bring David Riddick back or something like that. But honestly, I'd rather have Freddie back, share the net with Campbell.
Yeah.
Because people, you forget, the Leafs had only played so many teams all year, 6 other teams in a division. So you got to take that into account, right?
100%.
I like him though. I like him. Like, he's a good guy, good teammate, and he's a good player. So
have you come to the realization that you guys lost again to the
oh yeah,
like it's just
I kind of boycotted the playoffs forever basically because I was just fucking, I've never been this sour in my life.
It doesn't help that it's Montreal, right? Like when you're that much of a favorite, and then all of a sudden it's like you're playing Montreal, and it's like, oh, Montreal's garbage, and everyone's saying, oh, they shouldn't even be in the playoffs. They, in any other year, they just got lucky because it's this one weird division. Any other year they wouldn't even be in the playoffs. Blah blah blah, and it's like, and then that's the team you lose to, and it's like,
but Matthews played so good, but there's still another gear there. You got to realize. And he played so good. Like, people are like, oh, he only had this many points. He only had one really good game. No, he played really good at both ends of the ice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's what happens in the playoffs. And that's why you need your depth. That's why you need your boys. Like, you know this, Eric. You need guys to fucking score. And, in your bottom 6 in the playoffs. And every team that goes on a run, that's what happens.
And sometimes you just
Montreal.
And sometimes you just run into
shared committee scoring.
Yeah, sometimes you just run into a very hot goalie. Like, sometimes you just run into Carey Price, who's putting up some of the greatest numbers that we've seen in the NHL playoffs for a goaltender.
And they were getting ahead of Toronto on a nightly basis. They were scoring their first goal. And they've been doing that in the playoffs period, except for this cup final here.
Yeah. So, well, I'll one second.
Let's go to your abs.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
switch over to your abs.
Gonna crack open a can of Pepsi here and
oh, that'd be so good.
Oh, just not to try to drown my sorrows. So my Avalanche, obviously the favorite all year, to be the Stanley Cup champions, all this other stuff. You get Nathan MacKinnon, who really, when it hits the playoffs, he becomes like a whole nother guy. Like, he
finds another gear.
He's like top 5 all time for points per game.
He becomes the McDavid of the playoffs.
Exactly. Finds another gear, becomes a top 5 points per game in the playoffs all time. Like, that's with Wayne and Lemieux and all these other guys, right? So he becomes this other guy, and I'm pumped. I'm like, okay, Grubauer, I'm all for Grubauer. I'm all for Gru. I think he's a really good goalie. Obviously, I've had the talk many times. I think he had the best Vezina caliber season out of all the goalies. Obviously, Fleury won that, but I think that's a discussion for another day. But and then they roll through St. Louis for the most part, just putting up crazy points, chasing Binnington out of the net. They're just looking good, and then they go play Vegas, and it's the first game, and they give Marc-Andre Fleury a rest because he just had a 7-game grueling series. So they say, know what, against the Wild, they says, know what, we're gonna give you a break, Marc-Andre. We're gonna throw in Leonard. And what does Colorado do? But they go out and light them up 7 or 8 to 1. Wasn't even close. And then the next game, Colorado comes out. They look awesome. It's oh, perfect. Here we go. We got it. Looking good. And then at the very end of it, it starts Vegas probably for the second half of that game. They turned it on, and Colorado didn't win that game, but Colorado could never really get back in the series. Game 3, they get decimated by Vegas. Game 4, I think they had the best period of their entire playoffs, which is saying something because they put up some major numbers. But they go in the second period. I think they only put up 2 goals. But they did everything right. I talked about it on Twitter. That was the best period of what I wanted to see from the Avalanche. They were forechecking left, right, and center, which I found they had got away from. Everybody just wanted to play patty cake, and nobody really wanted to hurt anybody, and nobody wanted to finish their checks. And they're coming in, and they're rushing a guy that's out of their own D end, and they're just okay, well, he got rid of the puck, I'm just gonna skate away from him. It's no, man, that guy, if he knows he has that time, he's gonna make that easy pass. He's gonna take that extra second. The playoffs is all about being rough and tough and hitting and it's so much more, right? There's so much pressure on everybody anyways, but now you're adding on to that you get a pressure of like, holy, this is the situation. But now you're like, also like, this guy's also going to bury me if I don't get rid of the puck. And Colorado just never did it. They just couldn't get away from it. They just couldn't figure any of this out. And it annoyed me to no end, because I'm just like, why?
What the hell?
Why is this the case? And it was just frustrating for me as a whole, as a fan, like I said, who really thought that this was going to become. So they did all this great stuff. It's like, holy, there we go, and then they lose that game. They come out for the third. They don't play the same game they just played for 20 minutes in the second. They go back to being a scared team that can't finish their checks, that doesn't want to do anything. And I just shook my head and I went, it's over. Like, they're not going to do it. And McKinnon, good on him. I know, like, people get on McKinnon because he gets a little emotional, right? But
he's passionate, bro.
He's passionate. But they kind of had an interview with him after the game, after they got eliminated. And he kind of said, like, look, I'm in my 9th season. I haven't won shit. Literally is what he said. He's like, I haven't won shit. Like, what does this matter? Like, I want to win. Like, that's all that guy wants. He wants to win so bad. And he's just like, I haven't won shit, so it doesn't matter. Like, this is disappointing. There's no reason why we should have lost. They had some weird guys. Like, they had their depth guys. Like, I think one of their better players was Logan O'Connor, who's a guy making like $1 million. He's just like a young guy, and he's out there flying around, throwing the body. Landeskog was snake bitten in the playoffs. Rantanen showed up really good. Rantanen I was pretty happy with. Grubauer, he had a couple saves that were just weird, or a couple plays that were just weird. But the big thing about Vegas is, and I'm going to sound like a complainer here, but they do what they do. They grab and hold, and if you're trying to come in, they're holding you as you're trying to get in. Like, it's just, that's their game. They play almost like that trap style system, and they
playoff hockey.
They just slow it down, right? And do they get away with some stuff? Like you said, obviously it sounds like I'm a really biased guy right now, but yeah, I do think they got away with a lot of stuff, right? Now, does Colorado get away with some stuff? Maybe a little bit, but like, I found Vegas got away with so much more, and they just, like, every little call, like, Colorado had no power plays in that entire series almost. And like, you got to say, like, the way that Vegas plays, there's no way they didn't have any penalties. Like, the only penalties I found they were calling was like the puck over glass, and it's like, okay, well, that's obvious, that's why you got to call that. But I just found there were some calls, and they said Colorado didn't deserve it anyways. They just didn't have the 5-on-5 play anyways. So if you're not playing a full game, your power play shouldn't be what's bailing you out. But they just didn't want to do it. And obviously Marc-Andre Fleury had some good saves. They played a good game. Their big guys showed up. Mark Stone scores, in overtime. Like, it's what you want to see. But it can't be that way. You just can't have it. And it's disappointing as a Colorado fan. Like, I sat there.
You thought it was their year, homie.
I thought it was. I just sat there. It was the same as like last year. They lost when they lost to Dallas.
Reason,
I just sat there and I just like shook my head, and I was just like in disbelief because I couldn't believe it.
That's all you can do.
From going from like and I obviously you understand it as a Leafs fan, but
as a Leaf fan, big time.
Obviously for me, I just like stood there like as a team that I really thought we had this stuff to beat Vegas. I really didn't think Vegas was better than us. And Colorado had a couple injuries. They insisted on playing Patrick Nemeth a bunch. I don't know what Bednar's thought process was. I don't know if he was just like, yeah, Patrick Nemeth, 6'4", big defenseman. He can hold up Mark Stone and all these other big guys for Vegas or something. I don't know what it was. But Patrick Nemeth, I think it's been a couple weeks now. I think he was like directly because of a turnover or something that he did was like directly involved in like 5 or 6 goals against Colorado. Like, you just can't have that. And you, like, I said it, I think from game 2 or game 3, get this guy out of here. Why are you still playing him? And Bednar just chose to ride with his guy. Now, obviously, Bowen Byram, I think he was hoping he was going to be able to come back. He wasn't. But there was Jason McDonald. There's a couple other guys you could have thrown in there. Just try something. Try to get a little spark on the back end.
Change it up.
Yeah, like Ryan Graves is good, but I think that's where we missed somebody like Zadorov this year, where he was a big booming presence on that back end.
Yeah, physical presence.
Because like even like the first game, Ryan Graves hits what's his name? Anyways, the guy for Vegas, and Ryan Reeves. Obviously, the next game goes out and like, or maybe it was that. I think it was that game. He goes and like slams him down, puts his knee on his face, is punching him with his knee on his face and stuff, like with the shin pad on the face, and it was like, Ryan Reeves, you're the toughest guy in the NHL. Like I'm okay with like doing that stuff, but it's like when you're the toughest guy in the NHL, why are you doing the greasy stuff? Why are you doing that? Like, I'm going to put my shin pad on your face. Like, if you want to fight him, just grab him and fight him. Like, there's no reason to do that childish stuff, I guess. And obviously he gets suspended, and it was what it was. But I find that's one thing that Colorado is kind of missing, is that one guy that kind of makes you think, okay, what am I going to do? Where I find Vegas has a couple of them. And yeah, it was just, like I said, disappointing on my end. And I was like, I even said it before the Vegas series when they went against Montreal. I said the one nice thing about Montreal is they don't have that big line. You know what I mean? They're just 3 lines of, hey,
3 or
look
4
at us.
20 goal scorers.
Yeah, here we go. We're gonna have 3 lines or 4 lines that are all pretty much the same. So you can't really just focus on one line over the other. And they're just gonna come in waves. And obviously Montreal's a very fast team, but they don't. That's not exactly the way they play. Like, they kind of capitalize on mistakes and chances and stuff like that, more than Colorado, who's just like, here, we're just going to come at you at 100 miles an hour, and we're going to keep on coming at you.
See if you can handle it.
And keep up, yeah. And I found,
see if you can handle it.
I found Colorado just got worn down, and obviously Nate didn't have the best round. He, put up some good points, some decent points for anybody else, but just not to his standard. And I think he would say that to anybody also, but definitely.
That's where depth comes in, though. Depth comes in.
That's what it is, right? And they just, Tyson Yost
can't blame it on him, man.
No, Jost played good in like the third line, but he was more of like a shutdown penalty killer. But Comfort didn't do anything. Donskoy was non-existent. Burakovsky, he scored, I think, 1 goal. Like, he was kind of like non-existent, which he played really good the year before. Nikushkin, they were trying to get him going. He's just like a bull in a china shop, but he couldn't really get, like, just nobody else could get anything going. And it just was kind of, I don't know. Bednar just didn't adjust the way I think he probably should have. And I know the guys obviously have heart. I know everybody wants to win, but I said just the no forecheck stuff. I would have just, if I was a coach, I would have been like, hey, the next guy I see that doesn't like go bury a guy as he's trying to get the puck out of his own end, you're sitting on the bench and you're not going to play for the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes because I want to see everybody finishing their checks. And it just didn't happen, so it was what it was. But we'll move on from that. That's the depressing part.
The rant.
That's the depressing part of this podcast is mine and Trevor's woe is us Leaf and Colorado Avalanche fans. So to get away from that, though, and now we're going to go on to the finals. The finals that everyone predicted at the start of the season. The Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Montreal Canadiens.
2 Eastern Conference teams.
2 Eastern Conference teams. Yeah, there you go.
How do you like me now? Neither of them are Toronto.
So Tampa is absolutely destroying Montreal. And it's not even close. Like,
pathetic, really.
It is what it's and it's going to sound, we'll get into it. So Tampa, obviously they're the favorites, right? They're one of the favorites coming into this season. When you have all the guys, you have a Vezina caliber goalie, you have a Norris Trophy winning defenseman, you have other good defensemen. Like, you're talking about McDonough and Sergachev and David Savard, and you have all these guys, and it's like, okay, well, that's your defense. Okay, well, what do you got on the offensive end? Okay, well, we just got Braden Point and Kucherov and Stamkos, and you just go through the list of all these huge names.
Yanni Gourde, who only seems to score every freaking game in the playoffs.
It's all
Braden
of this stuff,
Point,
right?
Are you kidding me? He's got 15 goals?
Yeah, he's stupid.
Sure.
Scored in 9 straight games or whatever it was.
God, man,
didn't make any sense at all.
What a beauty! And he's on Trevor's fantasy hockey team. Boy, gotta love it.
I got him in one of my leagues. But anyway, so you have all this stuff, and you're like, holy jumpins, like, this is what it is. And Montreal, obviously they're young, they have a lot of promise. Corey Perry's one of the old veterans there, Shea Weber, so you still have some of that older grit and grind. Carey Price obviously played amazing for all this. I think he's getting tired. Like, you can't.
Not getting much help out there.
No. And Vasilevsky's just playing on his head. But I got a question for you. And
all ears.
So the whole salary cap thing, where Tampa comes in.
I know where you're going with
and
this.
They're $18 million over the salary cap. $18 million. And I understand that there's other teams that were a little bit over the thing. But it seemed like they really, worked the system by having a guy like a Nikita Kucherov, who is, a $10 million guy, just one of the better, best 10 players in the league. He just got to sit out the last 2 months of the season when he probably could have came back. Maybe a month and a half, maybe last month, right? We'll say month at the very
easy. Well, definitely a month, but probably longer, Rick. You just intended to, but I'm totally fine with it. Honestly, I know, like, who was it that said that comment? There's a team, Carolina. Was it Dougie Hamilton that said that? I think.
Somebody on that. Somebody. I think it was Dougie, and he said like, hey,
somebody from Carolina said that, like, when they're like over the cap by a significant amount, and we've got to play them in the playoffs, it's a load of shit.
Yeah.
Buddy, I know you feel that way because you're frustrated and stuff, but Chicago did it years ago, and it's totally fine. I'm totally fine with it.
Well, would you want to see play a team? Do you think you'll be? Do you think it'll be changed though coming up here in the future with the next CBA?
I hope not. Honestly, I hope not. Because I like it in the regular season. Like, if a team goes out and makes that trade because that guy's not going to play in the regular season, he's hurt. To get that scoring punch, it should be allowed. Yeah,
but the problem is the only problem I have. So you're just making it become, to me, it becomes like the NBA with their whole luxury tax thing, which I think you should almost have to pay like a luxury tax if you're going to be this much over in the playoffs or something. But like, that's one of the things I hate about the NBA. To me, the salary cap in the NBA, that doesn't exist. Like, you can say it's your salary cap is here.
It's different,
but like
in the NBA for sure.
The salary cap for all the guys, for all these big teams, they're all through the roofs. There's no salary cap in the NBA. That's just the way it is.
I just in the NBA, what grinds my gears is when the trading deadline's gone,
and then they release everybody.
Teams start buying guys out, and they jump on these other super teams, and you're like, holy shit, they were good to begin with, man. Like, what? Like, to me, that's almost unfair. Like, if you're a small market team, you're just getting.
Yeah, I just find this is almost like the whole luxury tax thing, and I hate that so much. Like, I think if you're gonna, and like I said, I don't know. To be honest, I never checked to see how much Colorado was over. I can't see it being much because most of their guys I don't know of any guy on Colorado that wasn't playing at the end of the season that played in the play. I don't think anybody. So it's not like Nathan McKinnon said I'm canceling myself out for the last. Like, that's essentially what you're saying, or Mikko Rantanen. But this is like not even just him. This is a couple guys on that team that, because obviously if you're 18 million, it's not just Kucherov, because Kucherov is only 10. So you have all these guys that are coming back, at the end of the season. And to me, it's just like, I understand what you're saying, like, and good on the GM and good on that team to still make the playoffs without Nikita Kucherov, even though you're still paying to that salary cap. You're still maxed out that salary cap. Patty Maroon's out there.
I actually kind of like what they did there with this injury, because this is one of those those weird injuries that you see players struggle to come back from.
Yeah.
Because it was his hip, I believe.
Yeah.
So you see goalies struggle with that, but like, so many things can go wrong. So like, I was just happy to see him take the extra time because the NHL needs him there.
Which is great. But like I said,
I think his first game in, didn't he have like, it was either like 3 assist night or it was like a goal, stupid. 2 assists.
Yeah, it was like, oh yeah, like assists, he really missed a whole
party.
Yeah, he's really he's fully rehabbed for sure, because he was definitely good like a month and a half ago, like I said.
And then to me, playoffs, the power play with him, Point and fucking Stanley. Oh my god. Yeah, they're ridiculous, those three.
Well, and that's what it is.
Like,
right?
It's just ridiculous. We're not even talking about Hedman.
No,
like, you know what I mean? That's just how good they are.
That's what I said. Like, you have Sergachev and McDonough and David Savard, and you have all, like I said, I'm all for being able to trade for guys at the end of the season, but like in like kind of working stuff one way or another. But like I said, to be 18 million over, to me at that point, when the salary cap for the NHL isn't that much, you know what I mean? Like, to be that much over the salary,
8.1, I think, or 81.
Yeah,
I can't remember what the fuck it is.
So you are 25% over the salary cap, 25% almost. Like, it's just.
I still have no problem with, like, I do, what I do like, actually, what I've seen Tampa do and other teams do this trading period, Eric, which was cool. And we talked about this in years past. they kind of did an NBA thing where it's a 3-team trade and one team retains salary and gets a pick or a prospect or both. I like that this shit's starting to go on. Like this is going to be good again for hockey. I think this way we'll see more trades and shit.
I think. What do you think? I think that's good. I like that whole Same trading. Here. Like obviously Colorado had that whole one with Matt Duchene with trading Duchene to Ottawa.
Right? You just brought up Savard for Tampa. That's how he's on their team.
And that's it, right? So you just have all, like I said, which is fine. It's just to me, I don't know. There's something about it that when you're that much over the cap, it's just
it grinds your gears.
It grinds my gears because it shouldn't be the way. You shouldn't have a team that's that much. Essentially, just like I said, having like imagine you guys saw what it was like to lose a $10 million player, right? Which sucked, right? Now imagine having that guy on the team and you're just adding a Kucherov and a Braden Point to your lineup essentially. How much better would you guys? But that's what it is, right? That's essentially what you're adding at that point.
Or just the Kadri, who I still miss to this day.
Kadri. That's another issue. Too. So we got screwed over because of Kadri, which all
now fans... he knows how I felt for 2 years. When he's on the ice, even if he's not scoring in the playoffs, he's just a handful. He's a hell of a defensive player, and he's a threat offensively. And that power play was missing him in the middle, like in Toronto, where he's underrated, man. He's a fucking,
he is 100%. That's why I liked him being there. And I like that he could bring some of that like aggressiveness and that physicality. Exactly. So I guess our predictions for the rest of the series. I got Montreal in 7. Not joking.
God, I hope not.
No. So I think Tampa Bay probably closes out tonight. Like I don't know.
Is that game tonight?
Yeah.
I wonder if I'll even watch it. I can't even watch it. I can't even. Fuck, Jesus. It's not even good. I almost want to say it's Monday. I'm not sure.
Give me a second here. I'll check.
Unlike Eric,
no, it's tomorrow.
Trevor's still watching the games. I've been watching a little bit more NBA. Yeah. So
we'll get into that.
I'm just happy to see Chris Paul go to the ship.
We'll get there. Don't worry. So anyways, that'll be my end of the rant. Like I said, I know everyone's already talked to us.
We're both pissed.
Every podcast hates the whole over the cap thing. There was a couple signings and a trade and all this other stuff. But before we get to that, there was the lottery draft for the NHL, and Buffalo gets another first overall pick. So they had
probably the worst year to get one.
They had Darlene, so here they go. Owen Power is kind of the consensus number 1 overall pick.
That's a defenseman, correct?
Defenseman out of college hockey, I think it's Michigan.
Yeah.
But apparently he came out and said to somebody, hey, actually, I've never even had an interview with Buffalo yet.
That's interesting.
So I don't know. Wait to see whatever Buffalo do what Buffalo does at the end of the day.
Buffalo, do not trade Eichel.
Unless it's to Toronto.
But don't do it. Jesus Christ.
Then Seattle, the newest franchise.
So excited to see what goes on there. Who goes there?
They get number two overall. And then we got Anaheim. Anaheim obviously
was fucked again with the number 3 pick.
Yeah, so they go to number 3, which is fine. See what they go. They got some good pieces down there. They got Trevor Zegras. They got Jamie Drysdale. They got some young people, along with veterans like Ryan Getzlav and all that. Comtois. They have a lot of good guys.
Max Jones.
Yep.
Terry, I can't remember his first name. I think he's going to come around. We're going to see.
Yeah.
But they got one of my favorite goalies, Gibson. Eric knows that. I'm like such a under the closet Carolina, like you know what I mean? Like those teams down there, I just love them. I don't know what it is about those Cali teams, but I'm a huge Duck. I watch the Ducks a lot. Even
quack, Mr. Ducksworth. I know. Then we had a big signing just the other day. Joel Eriksson Ek for the Minnesota Wild signs a super long. Don't really know why. 8-year
deal.
$42 million. That's $5.25 million per year contract, which is kind of odd because usually like the big like contracts like those 8 years, like that's usually like reserved
7
for,
or
like,
8 million.
8, 9, yeah, like those big like the top end kind of contracts. It's kind of odd for a guy to do it for 5.25, but maybe he's like, look, I'm probably never going to get any better. This is probably the peak of what I am. Am I ever going to be a Pasternak or a Braden Point or a Austin Matthews? Nope, probably not. But I can guarantee myself that I'm going to make $5 million a year for the next 8 years. 8 years,
yeah.
That's $40 million in my bank, guaranteed, no matter if I break a leg or whatever happens. So I guess you can't really blame him. And then Trevor really wanted to put this in here. Nashville trades Victor Arvidsson for a second round pick in this year's draft and a third in next year's draft, which is pretty exciting. Trevor said
I think it's just an upgrade, big time. Like in their top 6, right? That's all I mean.
Well,
and gets a little more help for Kopitar, and Brown's been really good the last 2 years.
And you're gonna have Quinn Byfield there, right? So you're gonna have some other guys that are there.
Turcotte's coming, man. And if they trade Turcotte, I'm gonna be heartbroken.
I can't.
There's a team I'd love to see get Eichel.
Just something different.
LA.
Oh, they're saying like there's different odds for Eichel. They're saying New York is a big one. So what would you give back from that? Would you
have one of their first round picks?
It'd have to be a Capo Caco and maybe a Ryan Strome with a first or a second, or a couple firsts and a couple seconds.
You got to get Latron over Caco.
You mean Lafreniere, not Latron?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said Latron. I don't even know who that is.
Oh my god, what is wrong with me today?
I have no idea.
Just burned.
See, he's not used to it, people. It's not used to that. But yeah, so Victor Arvidsson going to the LA Kings. Like I said, that's a pretty big trade. Victor Arvidsson, one of the better young guys. I know I have a friend that's a Nashville Predators fan, and I asked him. Great skater. And I asked him the other day. I said, Chris, are you okay? And he just replied back in the comments on the NHL Network, no. So he's not okay. I don't think he likes what's going on over in Nashville. I feel like he thinks that just even some of the decisions on who should play and who shouldn't play, it's just kind of head scratching to him. So it is what it is. But that's kind of the end of the
team. I think that need to start to rebuild.
Yeah,
it's just they lost their window, kind of lost their way when it got excited with free agent signings, and none of them seemed to pan out, and it just screwed them over. But you know what? All the kudos to what is it, David Coyle, or
yeah.
What the hell's
yeah.
Like, I think he's done a good job, and unfortunately, some of his moves haven't worked out. But at least he tried, right?
Hey,
so
that's
now
all you can do.
Blow her up and restart her again. That's all you can do.
Exactly. So next is we're gonna get away from the hockey rink, and we're gonna go to the football field. Everyone loves this part. I switched the background and everything here. Look at me go. I had a graphic, by the way, people, for the Leafs. There it is. It's the Leafs with their heads down on the bench. Trevor can't see it, but I can.
Trevor doesn't want to see it. He can see it in his head
yeah.
over and over and over again.
So we're a month and a half to preseason. Starts in the middle of August here. Got 3 weeks of preseason. Obviously, you're losing a week of preseason because now there is 17 games. There's 18 weeks of NFL football now instead of 17. So it's exciting times over the NFL. Right now, we're in the very much dead period. Like, literally, I listen to the Pat McAfee show every day. Pretty much have it on the TV, have his YouTube show going on every day for 3 to 4 hours, whatever it is. I think it's 3.5 hours. And he actually took a week off last week. So he said, know what? It's the dog days of summer. There's nothing going on. And I find a lot of podcasts have had a hard time. I listen to a lot of The Athletic with Robert Mays. He's probably my favorite podcaster. Also, shout out to me and our Twitter account. Trevor, you don't know this. If you guys haven't yet, there's a thing over here. You guys can kind of see me pointing at it. It's over Trevor's head. It's our Twitter handle. Go check that out. I actually made a comment about one of the last episodes of The Athletic with Robert Mays, and he actually retweeted it and replied to it. So I was pretty excited. That's like
pretty badass.
Kid in a candy store, a guy I've listened to for a decade now. Listen to all his podcasts and stuff and have him like reply to something. It was pretty cool. But go check that out to see what he was talking about. But anyway, so we have OTAs and mini camps. They're all done. All these guys, no real pads. You have the helmets on sometimes. They're doing drills. They're doing this. They're doing that. Coaches are trying to get their systems in. And I know, obviously, as a Patriots fan over here with Trevor, I'm not a Patriots fan, by the way. You can see on the hat. But Trevor's a big Patriots fan. And that's even I got some guys stretching as our picture down there, the 50-yard line. What have you heard or what have you been following for the Patriots and how that whole OTAs for them has gone?
Well, I don't know, like everything, you gotta take what you read and see with a grain of salt, because they blow. It doesn't matter if it's your team and they're talking about your boys or they're talking about my team and our boys. They blow everything out of the water, right? Like, this guy looks good and this guy doesn't look good. A lot can happen, and it's just OTAs. Training camp is where things are hashed out, won over.
Yeah.
Who figures out the systems, who doesn't. You know what I mean? Who come out of nowhere. So you take it all with a grain of salt. You know, they always say the right things, like Mac Jones. Oh, he looks like that's why they took him 15th overall. You know, he's learning the system. La di da di da. So you take everything with a grain of salt. I love what they're saying about our young linebackers, that they think that Juke's going to have a big year, which is huge. It'll be his second year, and Hightower's back, and the defense is looking good. And they're going on about, you know, our cornerback situation, Jackson and CJ Jackson, who come off like what? I think 9 interceptions around there, I think.
Something like that.
Maybe 10. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It was up there. And they're obviously talking about Gilmore because that's what they do, because he's amazing. They better not trade him or I'm going to be heartbroken. Just fucking pay the guy. Give him an extension. Got to pay somebody.
Yeah.
They paid everybody else this offseason. Sorry. But I'm excited to see they're talking about our tight ends. Your guys lent us Hunter. You know, I love that, Henry. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Smith on the field. Man, I just can't wait to get, you know what I'm like, Eric. Can't wait to see the football season start. I like the receivers we brought in. I'm excited. So I think I'm excited for Kobe Myers too. I'm heartbroken that Edelman retired. I wish he was.
You mean the future Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Julian?
Well,
Edelman?
That's what they're saying. That's what. What is it, Bronk? That's what Bronk keeps saying.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hopefully not, though. He said he's a one-team kind of guy. It's unfortunate. Like, he tried to come back and they worked him out, and his knee's just not. I don't know. It's just not responding. So he had surgery on it. That's why he lost last year. But
yeah,
who knows? But a lot of good things. They're talking like the offense looks good, but like you said, it's OTAs, right? And they're saying Cam Newton looks good. He's Cammy's team, so we'll see how it goes. But I think we'll have a better record than last year.
Yeah.
Now, will we compete for the playoffs? That's just my hope. You know, hopefully we're in every game, Eric. You know how it goes. We'll see how that goes. And we got Tom coming in this year, so that'll be interesting too. But
so, first question.
Small ears.
When do you think, and we'll talk about this probably a couple more times before the season, when do you think Mac Jones takes over the starting job?
I don't know if he's going to.
Really?
I want to see him redshirting all year. Yeah, unless Cam gets hurt. I don't even know if he's number 2 in the depth chart. I don't even know who number 2 is because they got like 5 quarterbacks.
Was it Brian Hoyer still? Because
I have no idea, but they did sign him back.
I haven't watched a whole lot of Patriots thing because really I don't care about the Patriots. I hate those guys. But
I don't blame you.
But Mac Jones, yeah, you win a lot, Dick.
We did win a lot.
But Mac Jones, I did see something. I seen one thing, and it was like Mac Jones like laying in like absolute like putting it right in the basket, all the perfect throws, and it was like Cam Newton threw the same drill and like wasn't a ball within 5 yards of the receiver.
It's funny because they're like all the reports are that the offense is built for Mac Jones.
Yeah,
like it's, you know what I mean. He fits your offense better. So. But, you know, like I said, like, what do you believe everything you hear? Like, until you get on the field and do it, Eric, you know that, like watching Herbert last year, he just randomly gets the nod right before the game. So it's probably his best case scenario as a rookie quarterback. You don't have time to think. You just react and got in there and fucking made it happen. And he made it happen week after week after week, consistency. So he'll get a chance. I hope it's not this year. Actually, it doesn't matter to me. If it's this year, that's great. Because the sooner you can start to get snaps and start to learn at what's going on, what they're going to throw at you, and just see NFL defenses, the better your team's going to be down the road. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. Jets fans are going to figure that out this year. Who else has got Jags? I can't wait to see the Jags. I know you wanted to mention who am I excited to watch.
Yeah, we'll get
and not just to see, Urban Meyer too. And I want to see, like, people are fucking shitting on Tim Tebow, but I'd like to see him succeed. Me and Eric, when he came out as a quarterback and then he got shafted. He'd probably actually, if he was coming out now, they'd look at him like it'd be more appropriate. You know what I mean? He'd be more of a.
He's still not an active quarterback. Anyways, we'll get to that in a minute.
But I just want to see him succeed as a tight end. We talked about it earlier. Like, he would be the ultimate tight end.
Yeah.
So I just want to see him do well. I want to see him stick in the NFL. I want to see him fucking kill it, to be honest. And I'm not even a huge Tim Tebow fan. I just want to see him prove everybody wrong because I love an underdog.
So the Chargers, I've been following them through a lot of the stuff, right? Listening to podcasts and stuff. I listened to one actually with Robert Mays, the one I mentioned earlier. He had Brandon Staley on, the new head coach for the Chargers, who was the defensive coordinator for the Rams last year. And all I can tell you, Trevor, is I am jacked up. Like, I am so excited. It's
a big year for you guys. You went out and got a bunch of offensive linemen.
Yeah, Corey Linsley, all those other
arguably
guys.
the first or the best offensive lineman in the draft.
Love him.
Who fell to you guys.
So good.
Like, just like Mac Jones fell to us. Like, It was a good year for us, both of us drafting.
So great.
We loved our picks. And you guys have a fucking second-year quarterback that I can't wait to see, who I just got a rookie card of us, Eric. Boy, I was so
Trevor's pretty pumped by it.
Yeah, I was. Eric's got so many of them, but Trevor was pumped to find that one. True story. That's got to get graded.
One day.
Yeah.
So I've been watching all this stuff. So Brandon Staley is like essentially the defensive version of like a Sean McVay. So young, smart, really like inventive, and like watching you and just like the way he talks to everybody in all of his scenarios, like when they're talking about just everything.
Just football in general.
Just football
His
in general.
philosophies and all that. Yeah.
It's so good. I'm just like, Brandon Staley, you are so smart. You can tell that this guy has such a knowledge for football.
And his defense is so much different than Gus Bradley's, which I'm excited for you, because you guys are going to challenge at the line.
So good.
You guys are going to man-to-man coverage. You're going to still go back.
Well, he comes off like that Vic Fangio style, like, which was like,
exactly.
How good is Vic Fangio's
defense
defense is. I don't think Vic Fangio is a very good head coach, but
but
I think Vic Fangio, I just think there's too much for him to like handle. I just think he's an older guy, but like Vic Fangio on like just being a defensive coordinator is like one of the top 3 defensive coordinators in all the NFL. He's just old, so it's not a big sexy pick like Sean McVay or somebody like that on offense, right? Like on offense, you don't want to listen to
like these young.
You don't want to hear all these like fancy. Nobody wants to talk about how great Ed Reed is, right? They'd rather talk about Shanahan and McVay and all these other guys, Matt LaFleur. Like that's who you want to talk about, the new up and coming guy. You don't want to talk about the guy that's been there forever, which Vic Fangio has been very good. But the other big thing, so I like for me, what I like is just all the coaches he brought in too. Like he brought in Lombardi, he was with the Saints and everything else. So he kind of took him and said, look, you're going to be my offensive coordinator. And which is great. They've talked about they're going to put more on Justin Herbert. So instead of the coordinators kind of telling them what to do all the time and what to read and this and that, like they're going to
you'll be able to audible.
Yeah. So essentially they're going to give all the power to Justin. He said like all the good quarterbacks, it becomes their offense, right? Like an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, a Peyton Manning,
Matthew Stafford,
a Phillip Rivers, even, right? Like all these guys, it becomes their offense. Like they're the one that's making the decisions as they go, which Peyton I thought was kind of good.
That's what they did. That's what the good ones do.
Yeah. So like they've had the coordinators, like coaches and coordinators, like mic'd up, and so I've watched that on Instagram and stuff too. And Lombardi, like there's even like little stuff, like there was Justin Jackson for San Diego. For LA Chargers. Why do I still call them San Diego, Trevor?
Because I do all the time, and that's why.
That's terrible.
Because that's where they should be.
So for the Chargers, I'm just not going to say the city. That's how I'd fix this. But they were doing like a little drill where the running backs kind of run out, and they kind of have to just do like a nice little post route inside. And the running back kind of got up there, and he kind of gave him a little juke move, and then cuts off. And he's like, good. He goes, but I gave it to you there. I gave you that inside zone. He's like, sometimes you don't need all that sizzle. Like sometimes if you got to have it, great. If you got to give that guy a move. But if I'm giving it to you, just take it and go. Like just take that quick little slant, that quick little post.
Take what they give you.
Take what they give you and just run with it, right? Like you're wasting an extra step. You're wasting a little bit of time. You already have that separation. Let's not give them any extra reason to get closer to you, right? So it was just kind of like little stuff like that, which I really enjoyed to see. And then, like I said, just to see like some of the team, like Derwin James is back, healthy so far. Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Yeah, it's early.
He's going to be that Jalen Ramsey role for them. And then they got all these other guys like Joey Bosa. Obviously, he's looking good. You have all these other guys that are there. Kenneth Murray,
which he should. He's young, boy.
Exactly.
Yeah, Kenneth Murray, second year. He'll be
second year. Kenneth Murray, which he's gonna kind of just be like. Even Brandon Staley said like one of the big things they do. So you know how like in a lot of offenses, you want to have a lot of guys want to have really good corners, and you want to one up everybody. So everybody one, and then the running back, you'll probably have like 2 or 3 guys like kind of watching that. For the run game, right? Their eyes in the backfield, linebackers specifically. the way that Brandon Staley does it is there's one guy that has the responsibility for the run game. One guy that has the responsibility for that running back. The rest of them, you're all in coverage. They want to double up everybody running, essentially, and they want to leave the running back as a one-on-one, which is kind of opposite of what most people do. They want to take away the chance in the passing game and, give the opportunities for the run game, but they'll take their chances with the run game. If everything goes right, all the stunts and everything else, they should that front four should be able to hold up enough to take them on. So it's got me excited. Like the whole thing, it's just everything. So all the young guys, if everyone can stay healthy, the line, Corey Linsley at center, like I said, just the whole line as a whole. So it's been exciting. And then my favorite guy, probably from all of it, from all the kind of walkout videos and all the press tour videos that they kind of do before the season, has been our draft pick out of Duke, which is Chris Rumpf. The guy is hilarious. And I just feel like I don't even care if the guy doesn't play a snap. He's just so funny and you can probably tell.
You want him on the team, though.
He's such a good guy. Like, and he's obviously I think he was like a 4th round pick for us.
He'll make it.
And he's going to make it.
Theoretically.
But it's like, he's just so good and so funny. And I feel like he's going to be a good player anyways, but he's just such a hilarious guy. Like, there's even something that was small, but it was like, they were talking, they're doing all these like, season photo shoots, right? So they got to go in front of the lights and do all these like stupid reads and all this other stuff, right? And all of a sudden he hears there's puppies. Like, there's puppies? Oh man, they got puppies! Like he was like just like a little
he's
kid.
a 16-year-old.
Oh yeah, he's just awesome. Like I just loved it. But anyway, so I'm kind of excited to kind of see what he kind of brings. But I said just as a whole, everything. Like I said, just the coaching staff. To everything, I'm just excited for the season, and I think there's obvious reason why we should have that. So, but now, so we got training camp. Training camp doesn't start for another month, essentially the 27th of this month. So I guess that's 3 weeks. I think the two people that are playing in the who is it? There's two teams that are playing in the Hall of Fame game. They can start on the 21st. Whoever that is, probably Pittsburgh and Dallas or somebody like that, whoever it is.
I thought Dallas is one of the teams, but I'm not sure.
But they can start a little bit earlier, but everybody else starts on July 27th, sorry. And then I want to talk. So we all talked a little bit. So Trevor's a little bit pumped up, and I understand why. He wants to see what comes of the Jags, right? You get Trevor Lawrence, the golden boy, the new Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, whatever you want, with Urban Meyer, right? Can this guy coach in the NFL? He's obviously brought in some weird people to kind of help him. He's made some weird signings, like, even like the drafting ETN when you have a James Robinson. I think they might actually try to
who was off a stellar year.
Yeah, I think they might try to get ETN more in like that slot role. You get DJ Shark there. You got all these other young guys out there playing all these positions. Obviously, you have Tim Tebow. And once again, I've said this forever. The biggest issue that Josh McDaniels had is he tried to like flex on everybody back when he drafted Tim Tebow, because he was like, everyone says that he can't be a quarterback in the NFL. I'm going to make him an amazing quarterback in the NFL because I'm so great. And then it, didn't work out. And obviously he lost his job because he couldn't do it, because Tim Tebow probably was never going to be a starting NFL quarterback, because he just doesn't have all the tools to become that. But anyways, beyond that point, team that I'm excited for is to see what they do. It's not in my division, but it is in Trevor's, and that is the Jets. Jets,
boy.
And I know I've mentioned on this podcast before, not a Jets fan at all. I think Mark Sanchez about fumbles, one of the funniest clips of all time. But I just really like what Joe Douglas is over there making. I think Zach Wilson has a lot to prove. I do find it funny, though, that literally, so I'm a big sports card guy, so Trevor's got some too. But all the products so far we have problems. Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones on them, and they don't have Justin Fields or Trey Lance or Zach Wilson on them, which I kind of
say that funny. Again, homie. I missed that.
All the products so far, like on the cover of them, is Trevor Lawrence for this year and Mac Jones. I guess Mac Jones probably because he won the
really. I didn't know that.
The championship.
That's interesting.
That's probably why. More of an Alabama thing rather than a BYU thing, which
they could be sense. The big colleges. You're right, Eric. Yeah.
But anyway, so that is what it is. But I'm just excited to see. They obviously got Mekhi Becton there at left tackle. They trade up for Elijah Vera Tucker. They have him. They have Corey Davis there. They got Elijah Moore in the second round. This is my
favorite draft, and I already told Eric this 150 times. The Jets have ever done.
Yeah.
Personally, like I hate the Jets. Yeah. I'm a Patriots fan, but like you just said, Tucker, like just every move. Actually, it started last year. We'll get with Becton.
Yeah.
Me and Eric were jumping up and down for Becton, so like I thought that was a great pick. So it was,
of course it was
their best pick. But I just lost. I'm interested. I took Wilson in our dynasty league. So I'm hoping he's not shit. That's all I'm gonna say. I hope he does something for me down the road. Hopefully, because that was a high pick.
Hopefully he roasts the Patriots for the next decade or so.
Well, let's not get carried away here, boy. We got Mac Jones, boy. I was excited with that. I wanted him or Fields, so I was happy.
So no, it's one of those things. I think it's a pretty exciting time, like you said, to see what kind of goes on. But I just think the Jets, I really like what they kind of have as a whole. I like the direction they're going. I think, like I said, just having a GM that is competent over there and getting rid of. I don't know how I feel about Robert Saleh and that whole coaching staff. I think Robert Saleh is a good coach.
That's actually a good point. I don't know how I feel about that neither. But
just a defensive.
I do like the GM.
Just a defensive coordinator. Like I said, maybe he's fine. To be honest, I don't really know kind of who he went and signed and stuff for his offensive coordinator and stuff. But like I said, I like what they kind of get going on. They get, like I said, some good young receivers and stuff. And Denzel Mims and Elijah Moore and even Corey Davis coming in. So it's nice to see what's going to go on with them. And then
I'm predicting right here, right now, that Houston is the worst team in the NFL this year.
I don't blame you because they are terrible.
They made some good moves, but
what happens if Watson doesn't come back?
Well, I don't think he's playing this year. I don't know what's going on there.
But we'll leave that alone. Is there any other teams that you're excited to see?
Well, you hit on the Jets. Well, obviously, I'm going to be excited for Pats this year. I want to see what we're going to do. But I like watching Buffalo because, Josh Allen and the boys, I like that offense. And they've sucked forever. So now that they're good, I was going to ask you, Eric, who's a surprise team this year coming out of the AFC? Who do you think is going to surprise people? There's always a couple.
Yeah. It's hard to say surprise because, I feel like.
Well, come out of left field.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's an out of left field. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be kind of a guy that's lost 3 games his entire college career. He might hit that by week 5 in the NFL.
If his defense can keep it close for them,
yeah,
keep them close, they're going to steal games.
Yeah, other than that,
I think he can anyways.
So obviously I'm biased, but I think my Chargers, they could really shock people, right?
No, you guys have had the talent for years now, or a couple of years now.
Yeah, but just a team that say didn't make it last year.
And lost a lot of close games.
A lot of close games because of either bad clock management or whatever, just brain farts. Another team that I kind of like, and everyone knows this too, I just like what the Colts do. I think Frank Reich's a really good head coach / offensive coordinator. He does kind of both of them. To have Carson Wentz in there, I listened to a podcast too with Chris Ballard on it. Part of the whole thing with Chris Ballard and why they brought in Carson Wentz is because they just had a lot of faith in him. Obviously, Frank Reich had a huge relationship with him.
Great pick.
But Frank Reich just said, I guess even when he talked about Andrew Luck back in the day, he said, when he first got there, was I really like what Andrew does. He does this similar to a Carson Wentz, or I like it because he does it kind of like a Carson Wentz, or, Carson does it, Andrew can do this that Carson can't, but he always would kind of reference Carson Wentz in a lot of the stuff he did. And obviously they had a big, contingency, but they could use receivers, right? I think the big thing is, they
don't have that stud anymore, but I do like the cast of characters they have.
Yeah.
And I like, Pittman Jr.?
Yeah. So Chris Ballard actually.
Fan. Yeah, so I think that Campbell's pretty good too.
Paris Campbell, he's been hurt.
Yes.
He's been hurt for the last 2 years.
But I think he's got a chance to be good.
Yeah. So essentially they asked, the guy said, look, Robert Mays doesn't really mince words at all in his interviews. And he said, a lot of people kind of think that maybe you guys are lacking on the, receiver end of it. What do you have to say about that? And he's like, look, T.Y. is a hardworking guy. He works hard every day. And they really do believe in Michael Pittman Jr. They really think that he's going to.
He came on at the end of last year.
Yeah, and that's what they said. Like they said, like he kind of came out in the playoff game. He had over 100 yards. They really think that he's going to make that next step this year and become a really big part of that offense. Obviously, and then you have Zach Pascal, and then you have Paris Campbell. If he can stay healthy, he could be a big change over there too. With a Jonathan Taylor, with a Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson over on the offensive line. And then on defense, you just have DeForest Buckner and Darius Leonard and all these other, huge guys, right?
They're one of the better younger defenses.
So I think they kind of could catch people off guard. I said, obviously, along with my own boys. Other than that, I don't see there's anybody like crazy that would really give me that would make me think. Like, obviously, the Chiefs are going to be there. Obviously, the Bills are going to be there, I think.
They should be, yeah.
I think.
Probably Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore.
They made some surprise moves, but I really like what Kansas City did to their offensive line. Just upgraded it everywhere. Or brought in a lot of veteran guys that were good at one point. So I think they'll be a lot better if they get to the Super Bowl. It won't be exactly what happened this time.
For me, like just going off my head, I can probably see the playoffs because it's 7 teams now, being the Chiefs, Chargers, Browns, Ravens, Colts. What did I just say? Colts.
Who's coming? Bills. You got to say Bills.
And who else do I have
Maybe
there?
the Patriots.
Probably not.
I think so. Boy, they're going to be 11-5, boy.
Maybe probably the Titans. So that'd be like my other one. So that'd be probably my 7.
They got
so
boy.
that'd be my 7. That's 8. I screwed up.
2 teams.
That's 8.
In the NFC.
I lied. I can't count. Apparently, I don't know how many fingers on my hands. So I think Chargers, Chiefs, Browns, Ravens, Bills. I just went through this. Bills. Anyways, there's some other teams that I said Browns. Anyways, we're gonna get off that.
So I got 2 more teams that I like in the NFL. Yeah, the Colts.
Yeah.
There's 2 more teams I like that nobody are talking about. Well, one team that nobody's talking about. They made a big move this offseason that nobody really gives them enough credit. They get Fitzmagic over there in Washington, boy.
Oh my God.
And that might be what they need, Eric. He's everywhere he goes, he just seems to make it happen.
He does.
So
for like 6 weeks, and then you got to figure out what you're going to do after that.
Yeah, that's a good point. But maybe that's all they need in that division because it's just been garbage the last couple of years. So, but anyways, I want to give a shout out to him. I like where Washington's at. They got the right coach there. So draft, but we'll see how that goes. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and really excited to see the Rams with Stafford. Now, Stafford, there's no more excuses, bud. Make her happen, buddy. Make her happen.
There's no more 5-win seasons over here, guy.
Come on. Like, you got the coach. You got the weapons around you.
Yep.
I'm interested to see how that works out, Eric, with Woods and who's
Cooper
the white
Kupp.
boy?
Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. I'm just very interested to see if they can make it work.
Yeah, I agree.
So if they can run the ball with that boy's arm and decision making, there's no excuses.
You get some good other
and they got
stuff.
a decent defense, so
yeah,
make it happen.
You got Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald. They're the 2 best at their position in the entire NFL. So
eventually, I think they're going to start getting draft picks back. Is it this year or next year? They're like they can actually have draft picks.
It's they just traded every draft pick away forever.
Pretty much,
I think. My last team that I'm excited for. And this is not one of my teams, and this isn't one of Trevor's teams, but it is a friend of ours' teams. And he's a loud guy, the guy that talks really loud every Sunday at my house. Mr. Shane Hargraves.
Yeah, I knew you were going there. I was like, Dallas, no.
So Dallas, I think Dallas is going to be good. I really do. I think
Dallas has got my favorite young receiver. Boy.
Yeah. So I think Dallas's offense is ridiculous. I think having Dak back makes a huge difference.
Having
Zach Martin, obviously, you got to hope that offensive line kind of pieces itself back to kind of even a portion of what it used to be. Obviously, they don't have Travis Frederick anymore. You're missing some guys, but I think they think that they have enough on that offensive line that they can do it. Zeke with Dak Prescott as quarterback is a totally different Zeke. We all know this. You have Amari Cooper, you have Michael Gallup, you have CeeDee Lamb. So on offense, who's going to stop that? Like that's a pretty wild offense. Do I think I'm not the biggest Dak Prescott supporter, but I understand that the guy is very good. Obviously he did this, obviously it helps when you are on a very small, contract. You have other guys you can put around you. I've mentioned that 1,000 times. We don't have to get into that anymore. But I just think they're a very good team. I think they're in a
really... I pose to you, though, Eric.
What?
We know they're good offensively. Is that defense going to make strides?
I think the defense is going to have enough. I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on it. I'm still not sold on Mike McCarthy
If you were, I'd kick you in the groin. I'm not a McCarthy fan, but I like the guy. But I'm not a huge fan.
No. But I just think on that defense, they have enough guys, enough pieces over there that they can make it work, that they can be good enough to kind of get something going over there. I just think that division's dog shit, for lack of better words.
It is.
I think they're gonna. I think the Eagles are gonna be terrible. Like absolutely.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm excited to see what Hurts does.
I think he's gonna be bad. I don't think they fixed any of their problems. They were bad last year. They had a really bad offensive line. Didn't fix that.
Oh my God, they drafted. Smith. That's right.
Yeah.
First round pick.
Yeah. Ugh. So you got a receiver, but still aren't going to have any time to throw because you don't have an offensive line. You have one offensive weapon who I think he's really good, but it's going to be hard when you're a number one and all of a sudden these defenses are playing you different. And I just think that defense.
It's a good thing he can run, boy, and he's mobile because he's going to need it.
Oh yeah, and I think that defense is terrible. I think that defense is horrendous. There's nothing about the Eagles that
nothing attractive to Philly that you like.
Nothing. I don't like Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's gonna be bad.
Division. What do you think the Giants? I
think the Giants are dog shit. I think the Giants are terrible.
Think they upgraded or no?
Yeah, Kenny Galladay. Sure, right?
That helped. But
you got a jump ball receiver. Yeah. That's good, I guess. Like, is that gonna really change the way Daniel Jones plays? Daniel Jones gives up like 2 turnovers a game. That's not going to change.
The line needs to be better there too.
The line's going to be better, but he's going to be better, and he's
going to have his stud running back, and hopefully he takes off again.
I guess. Like I said, you got a couple guys over there on the offensive line. That get Nate Solder over there still, and the defense is okay. They got Xavier McKinney, and they got a couple other guys that are hopefully going to take off for them. But I don't think they're good. Yeah, Leonard Williams, who they paid a crazy amount to for no reason.
Basically a defensive tackle.
Not really sure.
/ defensive end. I don't know.
Not really sure. Guy. You pretty much paid him like Aaron Donald money because he had one decent year. I have no idea. And then even Washington being in that division, I think Washington's very good on the defensive side, and I do like Gibson. I like Terry McLaurin. I like all this other stuff.
But I do like Fitz because I think he can give them enough.
I think Fitz gives them enough for like a couple weeks. I just don't think it's enough.
Well, to win that division is what I'm saying.
I don't think they have enough firepower to stay with the Dallas is my problem, right? Even though their defense is so good.
If they can't defend, though, because that's where Washington will get them, right? If Washington keeps the ball, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That defense can keep them in check.
Yes.
Their offense, I think Fitz can do enough.
100%. I just think that Dallas, I think Dallas comes out and wins that division before we, that's an early projection, I guess. But I think Dallas is another team that I'm kind of interested and excited to kind of see what they kind of do, minus having to listen to Shane here on Sundays yell about how great the Cowboys are. So we'll wait and see, but we'll
see, Shane.
It's a lot better.
I think we played them this year, and which I'm excited.
It's a lot better season, start of the season than I think we were running into last year. Trevor and I were both like depressed last year because we weren't sure what was going on with our quarterback situations. Shane was doing a little better, then all of a sudden, like week 2 hits or whatever it was, then all of a sudden Dak breaks his leg in 7 billion pieces. So now he was depressed, and I was. Anyways, it was not a great season.
And then after week 3, New England's Cam Newton gets fucking COVID and then just shits to bed for the rest of the year. It goes from being actually pretty good.
Just terrible.
Just wrote the year off, boy.
But so getting on to the start of the season, I think this might be an upset. And Trevor doesn't even know what this game is. So the first game of the season is on a Thursday night, and it's the Buccaneers. Everyone says the Buccaneers are going back to the Super Bowl. I want everyone to remember, and like not to say that the Buccaneers weren't good, but they literally played against 2 backup left tackles in the their final
Super
2
Bowl.
games. In the Super Bowl, they played against a backup left tackle, but also in the NFC
and
Championship.
Backup right, I think, too, in that game.
They did, 100%.
I think they were both.
But against the Packers too, Bakhtiari was not in that game. He was, tore his ACL, so he was out. So that's a different,
That's a team I'm really disappointed actually that you brought. Like,
yeah,
they didn't do enough.
Well, I think they're kind of stuck in limbo.
They're screwed again, I think. They'll make the playoffs, and
I think the Packers are kind of in limbo because they don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and that whole situation, so they kind of got stuck into what the heck do we do. But anyways, I just think, yes, that offensive, that front of the Buccaneers looked really good with Shaq Barrett and all these guys, but it's a little different when you're playing against some beat up offensive line that are missing their best players. And I think obviously the Chiefs made a big change with that this year. They said that's not going to happen again. They kind of came out and said that blatantly. They said, look, here, we're going to spend all the money to get a good offensive line going over here.
Joe Tooney, boy,
and
from us.
All the boys, right? So, but the Buccaneers, once again, Super Bowl favorites already as we go into the season, are playing against the Cowboys. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowgirls beat them in the opening game of the season. What do you think?
Well, it depends for me. I like how, we already touched on it, I like how their offense matches up against Brady and the boys. But like I said to Eric already, I like the Buccaneers defense better. And even though I'm not a big fan, is it Davis? I don't know. I like him and I don't.
Levante David?
But he's 1 year. Yeah, he's one more year with a little more experience and won the Super Bowl. Like, that all helps. But I like, let's be honest here. I love Tampa's defense, and I really don't like where Dallas is at there. But I think they got pieces.
Yeah.
But I just don't think they're good enough yet.
Yeah, you got Van Der Esch,
more depth.
You got Jalen Smith. Yes. You obviously have Micah Parsons that they drafted this year.
And I love, what is it, Stephon Diggs' brother. So
yeah,
Trevon Diggs.
Yeah.
Is it Trevon? Anyways, I like him, and I think he's going to be really good. So
yeah.
Anyway, so they've got pieces there, and I love the linebacker they took this year, actually.
Parsons.
Yeah, I like that was a good move. I'll give Jerry some. Let's not even talk about Jerry. That grinds my gears. Boy.
But can you see? That was a good move. Can you like that's? I think it's people are not talking about it enough, but I think that could be the big holy if in week 1, what happens if all of a sudden Cowboys beat the Buccaneers? It is holy crap. The Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. It's the greatest
every year,
every year.
Every year.
That's the way it is. And the Buccaneers, what do the Buccaneers do? Did they not do enough? They brought back all these same pieces, but like I said, I think the Buccaneers got really lucky for a lot of this stuff in the way they ran through the playoffs. Whether it was injuries on the other side, which obviously everyone's going to have injuries, but Tampa Bay literally had 0 injuries all postseason essentially, other than
postseason. Yeah, regular season they had a lot of guys get hurt.
Yeah, and then obviously once again, a couple of the calls from the referees were a little one-sided. That was my opinion, but anyways, it is what it is. Other games in that first week.
What?
It is one of the biggest games of the year, Trevor. It is the return.
Oh no, I know where he's
Sam Darnold against the Jets. It's the Panthers hosting the Jets. Yeah, it's Sam Darnold.
I didn't see this one coming. Yeah. Thank God. This is better.
I just think it could be like a holy crap. It could go 2 ways, right? If the Jets come out and they play really well and they win, it's a praise about Joe Douglas. It's, hey, look, they knew that Sam Darnold was garbage. This is why they drafted Zach Wilson. He just put up 280 yards and 3 touchdowns and no interceptions against this Panthers defense. Or it could be Sam Darnold of, holy crap, Matt Rule over there for Carolina really knew what he was doing. He's a genius. He's got, and Sam Darnold's got more weapons now, right? He's got DJ Moore. He's got Robbie Anderson, right? He's got Christian McCaffrey. Their defense, like I said, they just keep on spending and spending and spending on that defense.
DJ Moore
with draft picks, yeah. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting game to kind of look at, kind of see both teams. I think are probably going to be around that middle of the pack, right? That 7 and 9.
Carolina could be one of those surprise teams.
Yeah.
So I don't think make the playoffs, but beat.
No, but yeah, games. be like a 9 and 8 team or whatever it is, right?
Because they're very young defense and they're a little 1 year seasoned and they just added more pieces, and I just like what they're doing over there.
For sure.
I think he's going to get them turned around quickly.
Another big game that I think, and we'll get to ours at the very end of this, Colts for Seahawks. Kind of. Now, the Seahawks could be absolutely terrible,
Colts.
Right? The Colts could go and win 40-10, and then the next game, Seattle could go on like a 4-game winning streak and win by 7 touchdowns, and then lose to like the Houston Texans by like 24-18 in week 7. I don't know if they actually play, but I'm just saying. That's just the way the Seahawks work. I have no idea. You cannot, like, nobody should ever bet on the Seahawks because you can never understand what team's going to show up. It makes no sense. Sometimes they show up and they're awesome. Sometimes they show up and they're terrible. Like, I'll just never understand the Seahawks.
And they need to start hitting on their draft picks.
They just start trading.
Because they're falling apart. They just don't get enough talent over there anymore.
No.
Unless they trade for the guy who's already established.
You get Russell Wilson, and like luckily you lucked out on DK Metcalf, and obviously you have Tyler Lockett. But like the offensive line's not great. The defense is you get Bobby Wagner.
Defensive line used to be a strength. They're kind of weaker now.
Yeah. So, but I think the Colts.
They got Adams, but they had to trade a bunch for him.
Yeah, I think the Colts. Like I said, this is obviously the first regular season game for Carson Wentz. They gave up quite a bit to get him, right? They said, look, and they took on that salary, which is.
And this should be interesting because he should stand up, right? Because that's one of the quietly is one of the best offensive lines now.
Exactly, right? So, and especially if
took over for Dallas.
If Seattle's front's not looking the best, then obviously he's going to even have more time. He's got some weapons now, like I said, not the craziest weapons, but he's got some weapons, right? And it's just kind of nice to see like how. Obviously, Seattle is always one of the topper echelon teams over there in the NFC. So it's gonna be there's no training wheels here. It is here, Carson Wentz. Here's the key to the Ferrari. Let it go. We want to see what happens. There's no easing in on this. You're not getting a Houston first week. You're not getting a terrible team the first week. You're getting one of the upper echelon of teams over here when it comes to the NFL as a whole. Another big team. This is a playoff matchup from last year. It's the Browns versus Chiefs, which once again, hitting the ground running. That is going to be a bloodbath over there. Obviously waiting to see what happens. OBJ's back. You're going to have the Browns back, right? You're going to have Jarvis and OBJ with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Harrison Bryant.
The three-headed monster tight ends.
Austin Hooper with David Njoku. You have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL that's also over there that they've really built that. You got to see what Baker, this is year 4 for Baker. It's a big year, man. It's to see what this guy can finally do.
As long as he doesn't take a step back.
No, exactly. And then that defense, they got Denzel Ward, they got Myles Garrett. They have all these guys that are, big high-end weapons over there on
Clowney,
defense.
they add Clowney.
I'm not for that trade. I don't
but they added him. I think it was a 1-year deal, so it's not going to hurt.
Yeah, he's always a 1-year deal. That's all he's worth.
Exactly.
And then the Chiefs, once again, like the last time we saw the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes was running for his life. He was throwing off, and if his receivers could have caught half of the balls that he kind of made through right into their hands in that Super Bowl, the Chiefs probably win. Just because Travis Kelce and Hardman and all these guys were all terrible. They all dropped balls. It's just horrendous, which is what it is. So, but it's gotta be, that's like that's once again, another big time. Who's here for the season? Who's gonna kind of take this out? Who's gonna show that they actually belong here as one of the better teams in the AFC? Because that's one of the high end matchups in the AFC. Chiefs versus Browns. That's 2 playoff teams from last year. Find out who starts 1-0. Find out who starts out 0-1. Kind of behind the 8 ball, right? So,
right.
Then we get your Patriots, Trevor. They're hosting the Miami Dolphins, which I feel like for you,
another team I'm excited to see.
I feel like you would rather host them in like a December game, though.
Hard to say. Maybe we get at him right away, too. I feel like we're better off. That's a team you're better off catching early. Because I always find Miami the last couple of years to get better as the season progresses, like New England normally did under Tommy. But we're going to see. I'm excited for our boys this year. But I think Miami's done a lot of good things. So we're going to see if Tua can do it.
So what do you think about Tua? Do you think he's going to kind of make it, figure it out?
I think it's a big year, but it's not a make or break year. Because this is going to be his first full year at the helm.
Yeah.
Is what? Almost 2 years or a year and a half off an injury, that injury now?
Yeah.
So this will tell us a little bit too. He should be able to run around a little bit, which will help him. And I think his playmakers as well. They bring in a playmaker and a former teammate of his, who I thought was a sick receiver.
Jalen Waddle.
I love Waddle. And I couldn't get him in our dynasty draft, and I wanted him, and he got plucked.
I also
so close.
Just to let the listeners know, I totally took all the good players right before Trevor was about to draft every time.
He took a lot of them. He took my Nick Chubb on me, boy.
I did.
Trade me Chubb.
I'm not trading Nick Chubb. It's not happening.
I'm already excited for the rookie cards this year. You got me all revved up. I want a Chase. I want. I don't know if I want Mac Jones, but I do want a Lawrence. Boy.
You want Mac Jones? Jeez.
Yeah, I do. I actually almost want all the. I'd love to have Fields. Hopefully they don't suck. All the rookie quarterbacks this year in the first round. Hopefully you guys all are sick.
Hopefully.
Because the quarterbacks, the NFL needs that right now, don't you think?
Yep.
They got Mahomes and they got a couple other really good running back. Well, let's just say, I like Lamar. He's just a special breed, right? A different kind of quarterback, not running back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out, mumbling here, but
yeah,
I'm excited to see these. I hope these young guys succeed because it just needs a little interjection of more youth, really good quarterbacks. That's
for
all.
Sure.
More studs.
And then, so I think that's a good starter for you guys. Kind of, it's another thing. Like
I want to see Mac Jones.
I think you guys are very similar, right? Miami and New England. You're both young quarterbacks. You're both trying to figure out what's going on. You both have obviously good, coaches, good defenses. I like our D better. Yeah. So it's just there's.
I just like.
I think you guys are. I think you guys are pretty evenly matched though overall, in the way you're going to try to kind of attack this. So it's going to be kind of cool to see what you guys can do as a whole. Last game that we're going to try and talk about for this first week of the season is my LA Chargers, and they are taking on the Washington football team, which may eventually get a name. We're not sure. So
that's going to be a good game too.
Hoping to see what we can kind of get here. Hoping that Fitzmagic does not pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Yeah,
hoping that he comes out to like week 7 version of Ryan Fitzpatrick. But yeah, no, I think
2 interception Fitzmagic.
Yeah, 2-3 interception Fitzmagic, just throwing it around and having our guys go. Up. But I'm excited. I think that's a good kind of testing ground. That's obviously a playoff team in the NFC, whether it's a bad playoff team from the NFC or not. It's still a playoff team, right? It's a guy that you're going to see what that offensive line can do, right? You get Chase Young, which once again, what was my big thing about Rashawn Slater before the draft? I said, know what? You go look at the way he played against Chase Young, and he shut down Chase Young, which was one thing that I was very excited about. Who does he play for first week? Chase Young. So let's see, young man, if you can handle your own against Chase Young 2 years later. So it's like I said, wait to see. Like I said, obviously that front line of Washington is ridiculous, but just wait to see what they can kind of do over there. But that's and just see what Justin Herbert can do. That's the big thing. See how that line can hold up. See if it's a real deal, and see if Justin Herbert can kind of have a couple extra seconds back there to make some plays. To Keenan Allen, who is still one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. He is so good. I'm going to finish off here, and I don't have a graphic for it, so we're just going to leave the football one up here on YouTube. The NBA. I don't have an NBA Corp graphic. Sorry, guys. I don't have that background. We don't talk about the NBA enough, and I didn't want to spend a couple minutes trying to figure that out. But the NBA, it's the playoffs, and it is now the finals. So it's all set. It's the Phoenix Suns versus the Milwaukee Bucks, which everybody, once again, just like the Stanley Cup Finals, everyone predicted this before the season started. Says for sure. Nobody. Obviously, the big story of this year is all the injuries. You have Anthony Davis. You have Kyrie Irving. You have LeBron. James Harden, who's, I think if the playoffs kept on going, I think he'd be 280 pounds by the end of it, because that guy is so out of shape, it is not even funny. You have even Luka was hurt in his series. You have Kawhi that's injured. Now you have Giannis that's injured with the hyperextension. Chris Paul, obviously, he got, put on the
dinged up
the list there for a bit.
Missed a couple games. Last round. So
you just go through all the series, and it just doesn't stop. It's just like Trae Young was hurt at one point. Serge
Ibaka didn't even play a playoff game for the Clippers.
Yeah. So
ouch.
You go through all this. The Nets, like I said, obviously KD tried to do everything he could, couldn't do enough, right? He was this close. If his shoe size was a little bit smaller, he would have hit that turnaround 3, but he couldn't even do anything. He was exhausted at the end of that game. Donovan Mitchell was fine, actually. Who was missing from that? Mike Connolly, I think, was missing from that Jazz series.
Yeah, he missed a bunch of games. Yeah,
Murray, obviously, before the playoffs even started, he was out for. Oh, sorry, everybody, hit my little spring there. Jamal Murray was out before this, the playoffs even started.
For the
Nuggets. 76ers. Ben Simmons was not injured. He just sucks. He's just really bad. I don't tell you. He's just
Eric's not a fan of Ben Simmons.
He's terrible,
Simmons,
man.
you can play on my team, boy.
Guess what? When you have single digits in the playoffs and you're supposed to be one of the best players in the league, apparently, you have single digits for points. Get off my team. You're gone. You're terrible. I don't know. You have a straight lane to the basket in an elimination game, and you hand the ball off to somebody else. You are literally a foot from the basket. You are 7 feet tall. You can just dunk that thing, and you pass it off. There's something wrong with you. You're not built to be a game breaker or all-star or that franchise playing, changing player. You're just not. I don't care what anyone says.
So before we change the topic here, who do you got? Give me choose somebody between the Suns.
Yeah,
you got Suns.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to see
Suns in 5.
I just think the Bucks, when they lose Giannis, I don't know if they've got enough for the Suns.
No, I don't. I just don't think they do. I think when you lose Giannis, I think that's the game breaker.
And let's be honest, I want to see Chris Paul win one, and I love Booker.
Yeah.
I really do. But I just want to see Chris Paul win one, man. The guy's been through it. This is his first NBA final. That's hard to believe, 36 years old.
Yeah.
And he's been sick his whole career. He's a Hall of Famer.
He's probably, at this point, he may be if he wins a championship, he may be the greatest point guard of all time.
I still got Steve Nash there, boy. But I'm biased.
Yeah, we're biased. Yeah, we're Canadian.
That's great.
But at the same time,
he was sick though. You American brothers, boys, you guys do help hype him up, and I love it. You guys understand how good he was.
Oh yeah,
and I appreciate you. That's all I'm getting at.
But like you said, you're talking like Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton. You're talking those guys, right?
But I'm just saying, guys, me and you watched.
Yeah. But for us, obviously, Steve Nash is kind of that upper echelon. But Chris Paul, just for being the longevity, I find like if he had tailed off like Steve Nash did at the end, but he's kind of hit that next gear, in the third quarter, last eighth of his career. The last couple seasons he's kind of kicked it up a notch. Where I found Steve Nash, obviously his body
fell apart. He went to LA and fell apart. Yeah, his back just
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Like I said, it's interesting, but I think the Suns get it. I just think without Chris Middleton's not going to be able to do enough by himself. Brook Lopez, same thing. I'm not super.
He had that crazy game 6, I think it was.
Yeah,
he had like 30-some points.
Great, don't care. It's Brook Lopez. I checked the box score today or whatever yesterday.
How is him and his brother still in the league?
Oh my god, it's just fine. He can be a player, but like he should not probably be a starter. Like he's a center. He's the only big man essentially left for the Bucks, and he got 6 rebounds like for the last game. Like
it was never his forte, eh?
No, just I don't know, man. Like, and obviously
he's one of those centers that sit out at the 3 line and drain them when he's hot, when he's not. It's just like, why are you jacking on these threes?
Whatever.
You're such a piece of Italy oodly. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
But it's just to me, I don't know. I think the Suns just.
So we both got the Suns.
I think
love it, brother.
I think with Booker, I think with Chris Paul, I think with DeAndre Ayton, I think with Bridge, like all these guys over there. I think they're just gonna walk through whatever's left of the Bucks. Even if Giannis comes back, like Giannis and them, like it's just a weird year, right? Like the Bucks, yes, they beat.
He's lucky he didn't blow that knee out, man.
Yeah, but you're getting lucky against a team in the Nets who they get injured, right? So they lose Kyrie, and they're playing against a Harden who is half a guy. So essentially you're playing against KD by himself, and still needed overtime in game 7 to pull it out with the Nets being that injured, and then you go and play against, Atlanta in the Eastern Conference Finals, which should Atlanta been there? Probably not, right? Like
no, they shouldn't have been.
It's they were kind of punching above their weight, just like Montreal was, right? But they're going against them, and it's it is what it is. Trae Young obviously.
Atlanta's got a lot of good pieces, but I think
and Trae Young played really good,
sure.
right? Trae Young's like, hey, look, I'm a player in this league, and you guys are gonna respect me, and I'm gonna show you what it's like to play against me, and I understand.
He's no
that,
AI
right?
boy. He's no AI.
No, but like he beat.
He's no Kobe neither.
They beat the Knicks, and then they beat the Sixers. So you're beating all these these teams that are, I don't know, just okay teams, I guess. Obviously teams that haven't made the taking that jump.
76ers are gonna have to do something.
But you're not playing against anybody crazy, and now you play against the Bucks, and even then they lose Giannis, and even like I said, even that team, it's kind of a weird team. But I think the Suns are just gonna roll them. I think it's just one of those.
I think the Bucks win a couple games, but probably. I think one. So I'm gonna say Suns
one
and 6. I'm gonna say Suns and 6.
5. I'm not gonna go Suns and 4 like that one guy that just dummied that other guy in the stands. That's the greatest video of all time. Suns and 4. Good. Afterwards, by the way, I don't know if he's heard this, but the guy that got his ass kicked, he went and said that he was actually fine, that he didn't get destroyed in that fight. And I was like, what? He goes,
the video evidence would.
He goes, oh, I just got. He goes. They said I broke my nose. I don't have any black eyes, and it's like, whatever. He's like, he scratched me, and it's like, you went at him. You poured a drink on him, and then you went at him, and it was done, and then you thought you're gonna get a cheap shot in, and then he grabs you, pulls you down, and starts feeding you, and you turtle because you're a little, and literally he's got a hold of you, punching you. He punches your friend, and then he's holding you, and he's like, look, man, like, you're not doing anything. And then you run away holding your nose. And he's like, he even said in the video, he goes, yeah, I was bleeding before the fight. There's like pictures, like, he's fine. He said the scratch happened before, and that's why he was bleeding. It's like, you're just so full of it. Like, just stop being
just not good, eh?
Yeah, it is what it is. But I think the Suns, I think they're due. I think it's gonna be great for Chris Paul. I think it's great for his career. Nobody asks how you win this championship, man. They just want to know if you won it or not. That's all it is.
That's right.
You can say, well, it was a weird year and there's injuries, but it doesn't matter, man. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that AD went out in that first round. And that's how you won it. Nobody cares that you played against a weird like Nuggets team that was missing Murray, and then Jokic was the only guy. Nobody cares about that, right? Nobody cares that you played against the Clippers team that was without Kawhi. Nobody cares. Like, at the end of the day, they only care about how you win, not
exactly.
If you won, not how you win. So it'll be good. Like I said, I don't know if your opinion on this. I think it's funny, but I know LeBron came out and kind of was complaining about, well, this is what happened when the season doesn't, starts up so much sooner after the last finals happened. And it's like,
and he was saying they shouldn't have played as many games as they did when they all signed off on it.
Yeah, guess what? If LeBron James doesn't want a season to happen, the season's not going to happen. LeBron James runs the NBA, by the way. Him and Chris Paul, the two of them. So if they don't want the season to go, it wouldn't have went. But guess what? LeBron wanted to do it because
they all signed off.
Because if they would have won, it would have been like, look, we went back to back, the two hardest championships of all time. We won the bubble championship, and then without even a rest, we went back and won the second one. And it's like, that's what he would have been saying, right? That's how great he would have been. But instead, he goes about it and says, oh no, everyone's getting hurt. When like the people getting hurt, it's not because of any load management stuff. It's like freak accidents. Like, it's people stepping and landing the wrong way and jumping and stepping on people's foots and rolling over, and like the Kyrie one, I think, is just like karma for like stomping on the Boston Celtics logo, and then and kind of rubbing your foot in it, and all of a sudden next thing you know, you're
being a dipshit.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, you tweak your ankle and you can't play anymore. Oh, that's kind of ironic, that ankle that you used to step
all the
on.
Reasons why I wouldn't want him on my team. He's right there.
Idiot. I would not.
Yeah.
I don't care how
he's
great he is.
He's such a waste of talent, man. He's such a waste of talent.
No way would I ever want that guy on my team.
Give me an AI any day.
Give me anybody else. I think Kyrie. I don't care how good he is. But do you think, like, Do you think it's a load management thing, or do you just think it's just bad luck? Because I think it's just bad luck.
What, for the injuries?
Yeah.
It's just so much basketball in such condensed time. It's going to happen, right? Like, you got to remember, too, the layoff these guys had before the bubble and all that. And then, you know what I mean? And then, like you just said, like, they play the bubble and all that shit and just start up the new season. And they had so many games in such little time. I think they played 72 games, where the NHL only played, what, 56 or 58? I
can't remember now.
Something roughly around there, people. But I'm positive the NBA played 72 games.
But look, like,
it was just too much.
Kawhi played like 40 games. Like, Kawhi didn't play every game. Neither did any of these other guys, right? So I don't think the load management's a thing. I think it's just bad luck. Some guys just get, and let's be honest, like, we've watched Kawhi play. He won a championship for us. I'm looking over here behind me, behind the screen and behind the webcam, at the picture of the shot, the one that bounces against the Sixers, everything.
Oh yeah, that's for all time.
I'm looking at it right there. Like, congrats. Like, I love Kawhi, but like, let's not pretend like Kawhi, like Leonard hasn't had his injury issues over the last couple of years, right? Like,
maybe he's coming back to Toronto, Eric. He's a free agent.
So he gets hurt. Okay. Anthony Davis, he gets hurt. Anthony Davis getting hurt once again.
He's always
surprise.
Like,
he
doesn't give a shit, man.
He's always hurt. James Harden couldn't keep himself in shape. That's probably why you got hurt. Luka, bad. That's just a bad. I think it was a shoulder or something like that.
And he plays a lot.
But like, those are your big guys that are missing from this playoffs. Like, the hyperextension from Giannis is just a bad luck. He just like lands weird and it hyperextends. It's not because he rolled an ankle or he
Chris Paul got hurt.
It's not something you get. Not because you tore something because you ran too hard because it's been overstrained. It's because you landed a way that your leg bent in a way that it probably shouldn't bend. Like, the Trae Young one, he steps back and steps on the ref's foot. Like, it's just bad luck. But I don't know. I think it'll be exciting to see. Obviously, as a Raptors fan, we're excited because we get the 4th overall pick. There's also talks about us trading pumped. Spicy P.
We're going to get a really... Yeah, I saw that. I hope that doesn't happen.
I wouldn't be... Hey, I'm not against
Which one did I see? I'm trying to think of which one that was.
James Wiseman and the 7th overall pick.
That. I don't want that to happen. Just because I feel like that puts us back where I think we can compete now with the guy that get in 4th overall with our team, with adding either bringing Kyle Lowry back and adding a decent...
I think Kyle's gone.
Maybe big man. You think Kyle's gone?
Yeah, I think Lowry's
gone.
I
just think in free agency we go add a decent. I don't want to.
Which is why
center,
I think
say big guy,
I think we should have traded. I know it's unpopular for any Toronto fan, but I think I really do think Kyle Lowry. If he leaves, I think it was a big mistake for us to not trade him this year.
No, for sure. But I think honestly we're gonna end up with a guard. So
yeah.
And if he does leave, and we have Freddie and. I'm trying to think of who was it? It's not what's I'm trying to think of a rookie's young name right now.
Malachi Flynn.
Yes, I think we're in good hands because he can play defense and he's looking good offensively.
And we get Gary Trent Jr.
And then we're gonna get and he's a beauty.
Yeah,
he is a stud. But I think we're gonna get another guard, so another really good guard. So
yeah. No, wait.
Get the best player, boy. Get the best player. Don't overthink it.
Exactly, right? Like, you can say Malachi Flynn's there, but it's like, guess what? If you have
I do like Wiseman.
If it's between a Malachi Flynn and a whoever who's the top 4 pick, there's a reason why Malachi Flynn was the pick that he was last year, and why this guy's a top 4 pick, right?
But he's sick. Like, even if he's coming off your bench, I think that's good. You know what I mean? You're not losing that battle. Like, he can defend. And we all know the Raptors, that's where it starts with them. They defend.
Yeah.
And then they go offensively. So,
which is good.
I like what the Raptors do, and they're one of the only teams in the league that can seem to develop boys. So
yeah, and I think you're going to see some movement this year. I think you see Ben Simmons.
Yeah, big time.
Ben Simmons is gone. There's no way
that's one of the most exciting things about the NBA is there's
so
crazy
much
ass trades, and you get one. If they shovel around stars and they leave and go wherever they want.
The thing with the NBA too is there's only 4 guys on a team that matter, right? We're in hockey. You're talking. 4 lines plus a goalie plus
or 6 guys, right? Like a starting lineup and one guy comes off the bench.
Yeah,
that's huge for you. Yeah,
which is good. But you're looking at like the main 3 or 4 guys on the team, and so like there's so much wow factor to those guys, right? Like, basketball really is it's a team game, but it's not, right? Like, it's obviously you need a couple guys from your bench to kind of come out here and do something great,
give you big minutes,
but do something, at the same time. You look at all the NBA champions really for the last however long, you know, LeBron and them, like LeBron's playing 40 minutes a night, you know, AD paying 40 minutes. Like you're going to have your main five that are your main five. And then you just need a couple guys to come off the bench and do a little bit. But really it's like 7-8 man rotations throughout the entire, you know, playoffs essentially. Right. Which is fine. Right. But that's the way NBA's kind of worked rather than like other sports. Obviously football, it's, you know, you have 22 guys plus that you kind of need to all be good every game, you know. Then you obviously have, aside from that, you're going to have hockey that has their 20 some, right? So even if you have, you know, you just go the top 6 for forwards and the top 4 for defense and your goalie. So, well, that's even right there. That's, you know, more guys, right? And then you still have the other lines have to be good. It's just basketball is so much more of a singular sport. Like if you have a LeBron James, that can change the world, right? Where Patrick Kane or Connor McDavid, Connor McDavid is one of the best players in the world, along with Leon Draisaitl, and they can't do anything in the playoffs, right? Like it's and it's just that's the way the difference of
and they're rumored to be getting Duncan Keith.
Yeah,
we'll see if that happens.
That's the difference between the NHL and the NBA, right? Like you'd never see a team that has a top 2-3 guy, you know, not make it to the next round. Because their chances are they're probably surrounded by 1 or 2 other good guys. And, you know, it's kind of the unfortunate thing about Luka, but they brought in Kristaps Porzingis a couple of years ago to be the, you know, his running mate, the big guy, and then Porzingis just never has been able to take that next leap, right?
And it's kind of bitching about it now, saying he's a ball hog. Yeah. So that's probably a good chance he gets moved.
Yeah, Porzingis, you can't make your shots, and you don't rebound, and you don't know how to move the ball. So. Yeah, guess what? Luka has to do something if you don't want to do any of that stuff. But no, I think the NBA's been good. I don't know. It's obviously a different year. It's kind of nice to see different players in the finals and, you know, the last couple rounds.
Different teams for sure.
Different teams, right? Just to not have the same old LeBron, Curry, KD, you know, whatever. You know, you're having different guys. Nice to see Giannis kind of get his chance. I think it'd be a little bit different series.
Too bad he's dragging his leg around.
Yeah, I think if Giannis was, I know he didn't play like the last game. I think if Giannis was playing, it'd be a little bit closer. I'd probably say Suns in 6 at that point, but I still think Suns overall have the better team. I think no matter what happens, and I know it looks like he probably saved his job, I really hope Milwaukee fires their coach. I really do. I just don't think that team.
That's awesome.
I just don't think. I don't think making the finals in this weird year is enough to say that, look, we were so good that we deserve to win, that we deserve to be here, and that this guy deserves an extension. I think you still fire that guy, because even if Harden was 100% with KD, you lose. That's not even mentioning Kyrie. Your offense is terrible most times. You got taken to 6 games or 7 games, whatever it was, against the Hawks, which the Hawks aren't good. You know, without a Trae Young for
Milwaukee's a team that's lucky that Toronto didn't want to make the playoffs this year, because I don't think they beat Toronto.
No, right?
A lot of teams that, like, I don't think Atlanta would have beat Toronto. No. I know some of you are probably thinking I'm crazy, but I'm telling you, like, Toronto at one point this year, before COVID hit, were coming on.
And Toronto also like just started sitting everybody at the end of it, right? Like that.
Exactly.
They just like.
And I'm excited, right? I wanted that high draft pick.
Yeah.
You know, I love what Asai said at the end of the year. He said, we want to win championships. Yeah. We don't want to make we don't want to
rebuild,
play in.
Yeah.
He's like, we want to win championships here in Toronto. Yeah. We're about winning championships. And I love that.
That's the best.
That's a cocky mother beeper saying how it is. And that's what I want from my management. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I want. He's hungry. I just like his demeanor. I like it all.
I like it too.
And I love our coach, Nick Nurse. What a find.
Well, we're coming up. It's been a long one, but we touched on a lot of stuff. We touched on hockey. We touched on football. Touched on NBA. If you guys have listened through all this, I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, if you're listening,
love it.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or anywhere else, Stitcher, all these other places, Google Podcasts, anyways, we're on all of them. If you have one that you listen to more than other, if you haven't yet, go check us out on YouTube. This will be on YouTube. You get to see the video of me and Trevor making stupid faces at each other, me rolling my eyes at Trevor rolling his eyes at me, all that good stuff. If you want to check us out there, I also do like a bunch of other videos on there for just cards and stuff. Follow us on Twitter. Do a little bit of talking on Twitter. I'll don't do a whole lot, but I talk about some stuff. Talk about some games I'm watching. I'll send a little tweet out here and there. Instagram, we do a little bit on there, not a whole lot. I should probably do more. It is what it is, but it's exciting times. As the NFL season wraps, kind of comes up. We've obviously been very depressed. There's no football for us right now, so nothing a whole lot going on there.
NHL offseason, those coming.
Yeah,
the draft's coming for the NHL.
Both our teams
about that shit.
Had terrible losses in the playoffs, so we were both depressed with that. There. So it is what it is. But we thank you guys for listening. If whoever's listening to this, if you made it all the way through, appreciate you. And for Eric and for Trevor, so signing off.
Stick on the ice, everybody.
Bye, guys.